can we stay one night? Crying mother knocked and said to the mountain man he vowed. 3 sharp raps cut through the mountain's silence like gunshots. No wind, no crickets, just the sound of knuckles against weathered wood, desperate and urgent. Please, can we stay one night? The voice carries through the door, thin and breaking. A woman's voice, raw from crying or screaming or both. The mountain man sets down his whiskey glass, hand moving instinctively to the rifle propped against the wall. Nobody comes up this mountain. Nobody knows this cabin exists. He opens a door to find a woman clutching a small girl against her chest. Both are dirty, trembling, their clothes torn and stained with something dark. The woman's eyes are red and swollen, but they burn with a desperate fire that cuts straight through him. The little girl stares up at him with hollow eyes that have seen too much for someone so young. Who's after you? The sheriff, governor's men, all of them. What did you do? Nothing. Everything. Does it matter? He studies her face in the dim porch light, recognizes something familiar in the way fear has carved lines around her eyes. It's the same look he wore 10 years ago when he ran up this mountain with blood on his hands and nowhere else to go. The girl hasn't spoken, just watches him with those empty eyes that remind him of his own son's face in the hospital bed. One night, he says, stepping aside. The woman stumbles through the doorway like she's been holding herself upright through pure will and can finally let go. She collapses into the wooden chair by his table, her whole body shaking as the adrenaline fades. The little girl stays pressed against her side, silent as a ghost. They burned our house, the woman whispers, her voice fragmenting. David was inside. They wouldn't let him out. 23 years we lived there. 23 years, and they burned it like it was nothing. The mountain man moves to his rifle, begins cleaning it with practiced motions. The familiar ritual keeps his hand steady while his mind processes what she's telling him. He knows about powerful men. He knows about running. He knows about losing everything to bastards who think badges and money make them gods. They killed him for what he found, she continues, staring at her shaking hands. What did he find? Papers, names, money trails. 20 years of it. David was county clerk. He thought he was just doing his job, organizing old files. But he saw the pattern. The land grabs, the rigged elections, all of it. The mountain man's hands pause on a rifle barrel. 20 years. That would go back to when he was still wearing a badge, still believing the system could work if you just followed the rules. Before they killed his wife. Before they poisoned his son. The little girl finally speaks, her voice barely above a whisper. Mama, are we safe now? The woman looks at the mountain man, waiting for an answer he's not sure he can give. Safe is a word he stopped believing in a long time ago. But looking at this child, at her mother's desperate hope, he feels something stir in his chest that he thought had died with his family. He sets down the rifle and meets the woman's eyes. What's your name? Elena. This is Lucy. Elena, he says, testing the name. You picked the right mountain. Elena reaches into her coat with trembling fingers, pulls out a manila envelope. The edges are torn and stained with dark spots that might be blood. She clutches it against her chest for a moment, like she's holding her husband's heart. This is why they want us dead. The mountain man doesn't touch it immediately. He's learned to be careful about other people's burdens. Other people's wars have a way of becoming your own, and he's already fought his share. Show me. She spreads the papers across his wooden table with the careful reverence of someone laying out funeral flowers. Bank records, property transfers, election results. All connected by the same signatures, the same dates. A web of corruption spanning decades, intricate as spider silk and twice as deadly. Your husband was what? Accountant? Lawyer? County clerk? 23 years. He thought he was just doing his job. Until he wasn't. The papers tell their story in black ink and official stamps. Stolen land sold to shell companies. Election results that don't match voter rolls. Missing funds traced through a dozen fake accounts. The sheriff's name appears dozens of times, scrawled across transfer orders and witness statements. The governor's signature, too, authorizing deals that should have raised red flags. They burned our house with him inside, Elena says, her voice flat and distant. Made it look like an accident. But you got out. He told me to run. Threw this at me and screamed, "Run, Elena. Run and don't stop." I grabbed Lucy and we went out the back window. The whole place was already burning. The little girl sits on the floor in the corner, playing with wooden blocks the mountain man carved years ago for reasons he can't remember anymore. She builds towers and knocks them down, builds them again. Her small hands are steady, focused, like she's practiced at putting broken things back together. What's your daughter's name? Lucy. She saw it happen. She saw her daddy burn. The mountain man sets down the papers, looks at Elena with new understanding. This isn't just about corruption anymore. This isn't about money or power or political games. This is about a 7-year-old girl who watched evil win while her father screamed for help that never came. They'll keep coming, he says. I know. One night might not be enough. Elena meets his eyes, and he sees something shift in her expression. Not hope, exactly, but something harder. Something that survived the fire and the running and the terror of the last 24 hours. Then what are you suggesting? The mountain man looks at the paper scattered across his table. At the little girl building towers from blocks he carved for a son who died in a hospital bed. At a woman who lost everything but refused to lose her daughter. I'm suggesting we make sure they can't hurt anyone else. Elena stares at him, hope flickering in her exhausted eyes like candlelight in a storm. What are you saying? The mountain man walks to his mantelpiece, takes down a faded photograph. The frame is cracked, the edges worn from too much handling. A younger version of himself in a sheriff's uniform, standing beside a woman with kind eyes and a small boy who shares his father's stubborn jaw. That's my wife. My son, 10 years ago. Elena looks closer, sees a resemblance between the mountain man and the boy in the photo. The same dark hair, the same serious expression that makes children look older than they should. What happened to them? Same thing that happened to your husband. Different papers, same man. He sits across from her, places a photograph between them like a bridge over 10 years of grief and guilt. His fingers trace the glass, avoiding her eyes. I was deputy sheriff then. Found evidence of the land grabs, the vote fixing. Thought I could work within the system. But you couldn't. They gave me a choice. Forget what I saw, or lose everything I loved. Elena waits at arrest, understanding that some stories can only be told once and never forgotten. I chose wrong. Kept digging. They killed my wife first. Car accident, they said. Brake failure on a mountain road. She'd driven 1,000 times. But you knew better. Then my boy got sick. Real sick, real fast. Poison. Never could prove it. But I know. Lucy looks up from her blocks, listening with the intense focus of a child who understands more than adults think. Her small hands pause mid-build, a tower half-finished between her fingers. So what did you do? Elena asks. The mountain man reaches across the table, grasps Elena's hand. His palm is rough with calluses, warm despite the cold that seems to live in his bones. I ran, like a coward. Been hiding up here ever since, drinking myself to death real slow. He looks at Lucy, then back at Elena, and something shifts in his expression. The weight of 10 years begins to lift, replaced by something Elena hasn't seen in any man's eyes since her husband died. But you knocked on my door. You and that little girl who's been through enough. His voice changes, becomes something harder, more certain. The voice of a man who's finally found his purpose again. I couldn't save my family, but I can save yours. How? By finishing what your husband started, by making them pay. The promise hangs in the cabin air like smoke from an ancient fire, binding them together in a covenant written in loss, and sealed with the need for justice. Lucy's tower topples, blocks scattering across the floor, but she doesn't rebuild it this time. She just watches the adults, waiting to see if broken things can ever really be fixed. Elena leans forward, something fierce awakening in her eyes. The exhausted mother is disappearing, replaced by someone harder, someone who's decided to fight back. You really think we can beat them? Not beat them, bury them. The mountain man spreads her husband's papers beside his own hidden documents. 10 years of evidence he never had the courage to use, yellowed with age and regret. Bank statements, voter rolls, property deeds. A decade of corruption laid bare across his wooden table. Your husband was smart, real smart. These papers connect to everything I gathered back then. So we have enough? We have enough to burn down their whole damn world. Lucy abandons her blocks, crawls closer to listen. Her small face is serious, focused. She understands that something important is happening, even if she doesn't know what. But they'll kill us first, Elena says. They know where we are. Do they? The mountain man walks to his window, peers through a gap in the heavy curtains. 3 sets of headlights wind up the mountain road like angry stars, still miles away but coming fast. The beams cut through the darkness, searching. They found us. Good. Good? Are you insane? He turns back, grinning for the first time in years. The expression transforms his weathered face, makes him look dangerous instead of broken. Elena, darling, I've been waiting 10 years for them to come up this mountain. He opens a wooden chest in the corner, reveals weapons, ammunition, and something else. Sticks of dynamite wrapped in oilcloth, radio equipment, detailed maps of every cave and trail for 50 miles, marked with symbols only he understands. You've been planning this. Planning? Hell, I've been praying for it. Lucy tugs on Elena's sleeve, her voice small but unafraid. Mama, is the scary man going to protect us? The scary man's going to do more than that, sweetheart. Elena looks at the mountain man with new recognition, seeing him clearly for the first time. Not a broken hermit drinking himself to death, but something else entirely. You're not hiding up here. You're hunting. Every night for 10 years, I've gone to bed hoping tomorrow will be the day someone knocked on my door with enough evidence to finish this. The headlights are closer now, maybe 30 minutes away. The sound of engines carries on the thin mountain air, growing louder with each passing minute. So what's the plan? Simple. We make them think they got us. Then we rise from the dead with everything we need to destroy them. He hands Elena a pistol, checks his rifle with practiced efficiency. Can you shoot? My daddy taught me. Good. Tonight we disappear. Tomorrow we haunt them. The sound of engines grows louder in the mountain darkness, but Elena no longer feels afraid. She feels ready. Car doors slam in the darkness below. Voices carry up the mountain, harsh and confident. The sound of men who've never faced real resistance, who think badges and numbers make them invincible. How many? Elena whispers. 6, maybe 7. The mountain man hands Lucy a small backpack, kneels down to her level. His voice is gentle but urgent. Sweetheart, you remember playing hide and seek? Lucy nods, her eyes wide but trusting. There's a cave behind this cabin. You go there now, real quiet, and don't come out until your mama calls for you. But go. Now. Lucy disappears into the night like a small ghost, her footsteps silent on the forest floor. Elena watches her daughter vanish into the darkness, fighting every maternal instinct screaming at her to follow. She'll be safe? Elena asks. Safer than us. Boots thump across the wooden porch. A voice booms through the door, authoritative and cruel. We know you're in there. Come out peaceful. Nobody has to get hurt. The mountain man laughs, low and bitter. The sound carries years of rage and grief. That's Sheriff Dawson. Killed my wife. Probably killed your husband, too. Elena raises her pistol, surprised by how steady her hands feel. Her husband's death has burned away her fear, left only cold purpose. Open up. We just want the papers. You want the papers? The mountain man shouts back. Come and take them. The front door explodes inward in a shower of splinters and smoke. 3 men pour through, guns drawn and ready. But the mountain man was ready first. He drops the first 2 with precise shots before they can react. Elena takes down the third, her husband's murder giving her hands the certainty they need. But more men circle the cabin. Windows shatter under gunfire. Bullets tear through wooden walls, splintering the furniture, destroying everything the mountain man built in his years of exile. The back room, he yells. They retreat as orange flames lick at the cabin's front wall. Someone threw an incendiary device. The bastards want to burn them alive, just like they burned David. Fitting. Elena says through gritted teeth. What? They like fire so much. Let's give them fire. The mountain man grins, pulls out a small detonator. His thumb hovers over the red button. The whole mountain's wired. Been preparing for this night for 10 years. Sheriff Dawson's voice carries through the thickening smoke, confident and cruel. Burn them out. Wrong choice, Sheriff. The mountain man whispers. He presses the detonator. The mountain explodes in sequence. Dynamite charges detonate along the access road, collapsing escape routes and turning the hunters into the hunted. Trees crash down, blocking paths, trapping Dawson's men in a maze of fire and debris. Through the chaos and flames, Elena sees something beautiful. The sheriff's men running in panic, their confidence shattered, their advantage gone. Now we hunt them, the mountain man says. They escape through prepared tunnels as the cabin burns above them, carrying the papers that will destroy a corrupt empire. Deep in the mountain's belly, Elena clutches Lucy while the mountain man lights oil lamps. The flames cast dancing shadows on stone walls, revealing a cave system that stretches into darkness. This isn't a simple hideout. It's equipped like a military bunker, carved from living rock with the patience of someone who knew this day would come. How long have you been building this? Since the day I buried my son. Storage rooms branch off the main cavern like arteries from a heart. Food, weapons, communication equipment line the walls. But it's the photographs that make Elena's breath catch. Every corrupt official in the county stares back at her from the stone walls, their routines documented, their weaknesses cataloged with the precision of a hunter studying prey. You're not just a mountain man. You're something else. I was special forces. Before I was a deputy. Before I had a family to lose. Elena studies the walls closer. Maps of government buildings, schedules of public officials, family photographs of their children. 10 years of obsessive planning. A decade of preparation for this single night. You know everything about them. Everything. Where they live, who they love, what they fear. Lucy explores a cave with the fearless curiosity of a child. Finds boxes of supplies tucked into alcoves. Toys, children's clothes in various sizes. Blankets that smell of cedar and safety. You were expecting families to come here. I was expecting to save someone eventually, even if I couldn't save my own. Above them, explosions echo through the mountain. The sheriff's men are trapped in a maze of collapsed roads and burning forest, their confident voices replaced by panic and desperation. They can't get out, Elena realizes. Not alive. The radio crackles with static, then Sheriff Dawson's desperate voice cuts through. Anyone copy? We need immediate backup. Repeat, we need. The mountain man picks up the radio, his voice calm and certain. Sheriff Dawson, this is your reckoning. Who is this? You killed my wife, Margaret. You killed my son, Tommy. You killed this woman's husband. I don't know what you're talking about. You will. Elena takes the radio, her voice steady as stone. We have the papers, Sheriff. All of them. 23 years of evidence. You're making a mistake. The only mistake was trusting the system would protect us. The mountain man cuts the connection, turns to Elena with something like peace in his eyes. By morning, every news station in 3 states will have copies of these documents. How? I've got people waiting. Good people who've been quiet too long. Lucy looks up at them both, her small face serious in the lamplight. Are the bad men going to stop hurting people now? Elena and the mountain man exchange glances, understanding passing between them like a current of electricity. Yes, sweetheart, Elena says. They are. Dawn light filters through the cave entrance like hope breaking through years of darkness. The mountain man's radio network has been busy all night, invisible threads connecting truth to power across 3 states. Documents transmitted, reporters contacted, federal investigators alerted. It's done, he tells Elena. Every major news outlet has the full file. Elena holds Lucy against her chest, both of them exhausted but alive. Her daughter's breathing is steady, peaceful. The sleep of a child who finally feels safe. What happens now? Now we watch their world burn. The mountain man's radio crackles with news reports, voices cutting through static to announce the death of an empire. Elena recognizes her husband's name mentioned alongside the corruption scandal breaking across the region like wildfire. 23 years of documented fraud. Sheriff's Department implicated. Governor's office under investigation. Federal agents are seizing records as we speak. David did it, Elena whispers, tears cutting tracks down her dirt-stained cheeks. Even after they killed him, he did it. A weak voice calls from outside the cave, barely audible above the morning wind. Sheriff Dawson, alone and wounded, his deputies dead or fled into the burning forest. I know you're in there. I want to talk. The mountain man checks his rifle, but Elena stops him with a gentle hand on his arm. Let me? She emerges from the cave to find Dawson slumped against a boulder, bleeding from shrapnel wounds. His uniform is torn and blackened, his badge hanging by a thread. The man who terrorized our county for decades looks small and broken in the morning light. You destroyed everything, he says. Good. 23 years of building something. Gone. 23 years of stealing and murdering. Good riddance. Dawson coughs up blood, looks at her with dying eyes that hold no remorse, only bitter recognition of defeat. You think you're some kind of hero? I think I'm a mother protecting her daughter. The mountain man emerges behind Elena, rifle ready but not aimed. His presence is solid, reassuring. She is a hero, Sheriff. Something you never understood. You killed my family, Dawson says to him. You killed mine first. My wife, my son. This woman's husband. Elena kneels beside the dying sheriff, studies his face. Under the blood and dirt, she sees something unexpected. Not a monster, but a man who chose to become one. Did you really think you could keep doing this forever? Hurting families? Stealing from people who trusted you? Dawson's breathing becomes labored. Each word a struggle. We kept the peace. We maintained order. You maintained your own power. There's a difference. Lucy appears at the cave entrance, sees the wounded sheriff with the fearless curiosity of childhood. Is that one of the bad men, Mama? Yes, sweetheart, but he can't hurt anyone anymore. Dawson looks at the little girl, and for a moment, his expression softens with something that might be regret. I had children once, he whispers. What happened to them? Elena asks. They grew up ashamed of their father. The sheriff closes his eyes, stops breathing. Elena feels no satisfaction, only exhaustion and the weight of justice finally served. Is it over? Lucy asks. Elena looks at the mountain man, who nods toward the valley below where federal vehicles are arriving, where reporters are setting up, where the truth will finally have its day. Yes, baby, it's over. 3 months later, Elena sits on the mountain man's rebuilt porch, watching Lucy play in the meadow below. The corruption trials dominate news headlines, but up here, there's only peace. Wildflowers bloom where the old cabin burned, and the sound of Lucy's laughter carries on a mountain breeze. You ever think about leaving this mountain? She asks him. He's whittling a toy horse for Lucy, his hands steady and sure. The tremor that once marked his drinking is gone, replaced by the careful precision of a man who's found his purpose again. Where would I go? Anywhere. You're free now. We all are. The trials have been swift and thorough. The governor resigned in disgrace, led away in handcuffs on every news channel in the region. Half the county government sits in federal prison. The land grabs have been reversed. The stolen money returned to families who lost everything. I like it here, he says, especially with you two around. Elena watches Lucy chase butterflies, her daughter finally laughing again after months of nightmares. The hollow look in her eyes has been replaced by something Elena thought she'd lost forever. Joy. She's healing. Children do that, faster than adults. Are you healing? The mountain man considers this, sets down his whittling. The toy horse is nearly finished, carved with the same patient care he once used to prepare for war. I spent 10 years planning revenge. Turns out what I really needed was a family to protect. Elena reaches for his hand, feels the calluses that tell the story of man rebuilding his life board by board. David would have liked you. Your husband was a brave man. So are you. Lucy runs up to them, breathless and happy, her cheeks flushed from running through the tall grass. Look what I found. She opens her small fist to reveal a perfect wildflower, purple and delicate. It's beautiful, sweetheart. Can we plant it by Daddy's grave when we visit? Elena's eyes fill with tears, but they're not entirely sad anymore. There's something else mixed in. Gratitude. Hope. Of course we can. The mountain man stands, looks out over the valley where construction crews are rebuilding homes, where families are returning to land they thought they'd lost forever. You know what the best part is, he says. What? Your husband's name is on every courthouse, every school, every street they're renaming down there. He's not just remembered, he's honored. Elena squeezes his hand, feels Lucy's small fingers intertwine with theirs. 3 hands joined together, a family forged in fire and sealed with love. Can we stay? Lucy asks, not just one night, but always? The mountain man kneels down to her level. Little girl, this is your home now, for as long as you want it. As the sun sets behind them, Elena realizes she's found something she never expected. Not just safety, but belonging. Not just justice, but love. The mountain that once held only ghosts now shelters the living.